Thank you. Thank you all for coming today, and welcome to the DFT. It is really our pleasure. It's delightful to host the 2016 State of the County Address. Welcome. And I would like to start by thanking Wayne County and Oakland and Macomb for all the wonderful support that the DIA has received in the last years. It's been so important. I want to tell you that your investment goes to one of the best museums in the country, which has a world-class art collection. Fantastic place. I'd like to remember that last January, we welcomed our 1 millionth visitor from the countries since the passage of the millage in 2012. That is extraordinary. It's really great. And I'd like to remind you that admission is free at the DIA. And this is thanks to your support and investment. So the more you come to the museum, the better return you get in your investment. So thank you. Thank you very much for it. We recently have had a wonderful exhibition, 30 Americans. We had over 45,000 people coming through the building. 25% of those were from Detroit. So we are connected to the city and also connected to our African-American community. 41% of those over 45,000 people were African-American. So we're excited and delighted to be of service to Detroit and to the 3 counties. We are opening very soon a fantastic exhibition. It's called Dance, American Art, 1830-1960. And it is a show that will tell the story of American dance in the United States through paintings, sculpture, drawings, and all sorts of plastic art. So I really want to welcome you and hope I'll see you in the gallery soon, especially at the opening of our exhibition. Thank you again for coming tonight, and I look forward to the program. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the Detroit Film Theater for Wayne County Executive Warren C. Evans' 2016 State of the County Address. Tonight's accommodations were made possible because of generous support from our presenting sponsor, Ford Motor Company, and the support of the Detroit Institute of Arts, Detroit Film Theater, and Downtown Detroit Partnership, and Gyro. At this time, please take a moment to silence your phones and mobile devices. If you're active on social media, our official hashtag for the evening is hashtag Wayne County SOTC. Tonight, Wayne County would like to remember 2 public servants that passed away yesterday. Palmer Heenan, the former mayor of Grosse Pointe Park, who retired last year after more than 30 years as mayor. And the world knew him as Inspector Todd from the Beverly Hills Cop movies. But we knew him as former Detroit City Council President and Detroit Police Homicide Inspector Gil Hill, who spent over 40 years serving the city of Detroit. Let us reserve a moment of silence for these 2 great public servants. Thank you. Now, please rise and welcome to the stage the Reverend Solomon Kinlock, pastor of Triumph Church, for tonight's invocation.
Truth on the scaffold, wrong on the throne, but in the dim unknown stands God in the shadow, keeping watch over his own. Let us bow and pray. Gracious God, our Father, we thank you tonight for another generous gift that no other competitor provides, the blessing, the enjoyment of another day. Lord, we are cognizant and clear tonight that our presence tonight says nothing about how good we've been, but it speaks volumes about how good you've been to us. We pause to say thank you tonight for the mass of talent, energy, and effort that was placed in cooperation and coalition to do something that is constructive for the citizens of this county. We thank you for the tremendous gift that you have given to us, embodied in the personality of Warren Evans. We thank you for those that have sacrificed time, talent, and treasure to serve the constituents of this community. But now, Lord, we are cognizant that we are not egotistical or arrogant to believe we can do anything without your power and your presence. So now I pray that you would give us clear thoughts, that you would anoint our tongues to speak in love, that you would fill our hearts with compassion, that you would touch our feet to walk in the path that is in alignment with your word and your will. It is our prayer at this time that while we recognize that there are those here that may have reverence to other idols and other gods, it is at this time that we pray in your matchless, mighty, and majestic name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Kinlock, for that soul-stirring invocation. Please welcome the honorable members of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners who are here with us this evening. The Honorable Timothy Killeen, the Honorable Ilona Varga, the Honorable Burton Leland, the Honorable Alicia Bell, the Honorable Diane Webb, the Honorable Terry Marecki, the Honorable Joe Barone, the Honorable Al Haydes, the Honorable Glenn Anderson, and the Honorable Joseph Palomera. I would now like to recognize Wayne County's 5 other elected officials with us in the audience tonight. The Honorable Kathy Garrett, Wayne County Clerk. The Honorable Kim Worthy, Wayne County Prosecutor. The Honorable Richard Hathaway, Wayne County Treasurer. The Honorable Bernard Youngblood, Wayne County Register of Deeds. And the Honorable Benny Napoleon, Wayne County Sheriff. Please welcome also the Honorable Judges of the 3rd Judicial Circuit and Wayne County Probate Courts. We'd also like to acknowledge the legislators, township supervisors, mayors, and other elected officials who have joined us this evening. Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to present to you the Wayne County Executive, Warren Evans.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome tonight to this fabulous venue, one of our county's great public spaces, to tell you about the state of our county. I extend my appreciation to Salvador Solar-Pons, who you heard earlier, the director of the Detroit Institute of Arts, for serving as our host this evening. Permit me to specially recognize my fellow county executives who have honored me tonight with their presence. From Oakland County, Brooks Patterson. And from Macomb County, Mark Hackle. I'd also like to thank those of you listening at home for taking the time to hear some encouraging news about Wayne County. Shortly after my election, I gathered my campaign staff to talk about the transition. I knew finding expertise in finance would be critical to solving Wayne County's problems. I also knew we needed a subcommittee on finance, and I knew that committee would likely be the most important. We talked about who should be on the subcommittee, and I kept pushing one particular name. My campaign staff was wary of this person because he was a Republican and he works for Brooks Patterson. What would people say if a Democrat county executive asked for such help? I ended the argument. Here's what people would say. We are interested in good government and don't care where we get the information or expertise to accomplish it. So I directed my campaign manager to call this person to ask him to serve on this subcommittee. He was both flattered and surprised. He was willing to do it if it was okay with Brooks. By then, I had decided that I wanted him to chair the committee. I called Brooks, and Brooks agreed. This person spent countless hours providing his expertise to this critical transition issue, and Wayne County will always be grateful. Although he could not be here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, please recognize Deputy Oakland County Executive Bob Dadow. And thanks, Brooks. Last year, I chose not to deliver a traditional State of the County address, and I'm sure you all will give me some sympathy for that since it's so terrible outside today. At least I gave you 1 year off. Wayne County faced critical issues. Could Wayne County avoid an emergency manager and bankruptcy? Could Wayne County recover from the public's loss and faith and trust in its ability to deliver an honest and competent government? I frankly wasn't ready to answer these questions. Instead, throughout the year, I visited with residents, community groups, faith leaders, business owners from Grosse Pointe, Detroit, Taylor to Belleville. I shared with them the critical problems the county faced. It was important to me to let them know I planned to meet the challenges head on. I told them solutions would require sacrifice, but I would do my best to make sure that that sacrifice was shared. A year later, as I begin my 15th month as county executive, I'm pleased to report that while many obstacles remain, the worst of our problems are in the past. I can't quite tell you that the state of the county is great. I can, however, state that the state of the county has stabilized, it continues to improve, and our best days are ahead. The first thing I had to do as county executive was identify all of the major problems facing Wayne County. While major financial problems existed, other critical problems also needed to be addressed. Many county facilities were in horrible shape. We had a partially completed jail that would cost hundreds of millions to finish. We had existing jails that were falling apart. The Lincoln Hall of Justice, where our juvenile offenders are adjudicated and treated, needed replacement years ago. The Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, housing the criminal division of the Wayne County Circuit Court and the county prosecutor's office, required either replacement or tens of millions of dollars in infrastructure and renovation improvements. And the settlement of a lawsuit required the county to build the Wayne County Circuit Court a new courthouse. Finally, the purchase of the Guardian building was a huge financial mistake. Compounding this mistake was vacant office space at the Guardian building while the county owned or leased expensive space in other buildings. Even if somehow we could magically solve all of the county's financial problems, these facilities problems remained. Unfortunately, finances and facilities weren't the only problems. A lack of cooperation between the county executive and other county elected officials also existed. For too long, the county executive didn't understand that the county's problems could not be solved through confrontation, but the sheriff, prosecutor, and Wayne County Circuit Court had sued the county executive and the county, claiming that their budgets were inadequate. The county spent hundreds of thousands of dollars paying for attorneys on both sides of this issue. And these lawsuits provided only the illusion that a judge could actually issue an opinion that could solve the county's budget problems and adequately fund these offices. I was intent on changing that culture. To solve the county's problems, we needed to work together. Yet another major problem was the poor delivery of services in many areas. Far too common was low morale. Employees had given concessions to solve problems that never got solved while executives received extravagant pensions. And if the goal was to provide quality county services, then the existing organizational chart didn't make that possible. Adding to inefficiencies were the county's antiquated purchasing systems, inadequate employee training, an economic development model of grandiose announcements but never lived up to the hype. So, confronted with the county's financial mess, its unfinished facilities, its dilapidated facilities, the institutional animosity between the county executive and other elected county officials, and its poor delivery of services, I thought seriously about taking Brooks Patterson's advice. When asked, did he have any advice for the new guy on the block, the Wayne County executive, he responded, yeah, ask for a recount. But I didn't, and I went to work developing solutions. Wayne County's problems could not be solved in 1 year, but as we worked on one issue, we needed to make sure that we didn't make others worse. Short-term fixes hadn't worked. I wouldn't repeat those mistakes. The biggest problem was clearly the county's fiscal health. Wayne County had been insolvent for years, and things were getting worse. Wayne County had not survived this long by continuing, or Wayne County had survived, this long, by robbing Peter to pay Paul. We had little time before corrective financial actions would be too late and bankruptcy inevitable. No one knew with certainty how long we had before corrective action would be too late. The time, however, was short, and short enough for the fiscally responsible to agree that now definitely was not too early. The road that led to this financial mess resulted from a number of factors: mismanagement, poor decision-making, bad economic development deals, rising legacy costs for health care and pensions, and property tax revenue that plummeted as a result of the economic downturn of 2008. No matter who headed Wayne County government during this time, managing with dwindling resources was going to be tough. The real problem was the failure to see the coming financial crisis and the failure to take any tough decisions to avert it. The result was an accumulated deficit approaching $100 million, a yearly structural deficit of approximately $52 million, $1.3 billion, that's with a capital B, in unfunded health care liabilities, and a pension fund, once fully funded, decimated to just 44% funding and needing about $900 million to reach full funding. Wanting to be sure of the numbers, we brought in an independent team of CPAs and accountants from Ernst & Young. Unfortunately, the numbers were as bad as they appeared. While I was prepared to make the tough decisions, I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed the right team to make it happen. Late in the transition, I found the person who would become the architect of the county's plan to recover from this financial mess. It was a 29-year-old turnaround expert who saved Benton Harbor from financial ruin and was a gubernatorial appointment to the Detroit Financial Review Board. A whiz kid, grew up in Detroit, went to our own Cass Tech, and somewhere along the line learned the value of using his intellect for the public good. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Wayne County's Chief Restructuring Officer and Chief Financial Officer, Tony Saunders. Although Tony was the architect, he had a lot of help. I lured my deputy county executive away from a lucrative law practice by playing on his weak spot of caring about good government. He gave up more in pay than I've ever made in a year. His previous experience as chief judge of the Wayne County Circuit Court and the general manager of SMART proved invaluable. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize my deputy county executive, Rick Kaufman. Rounding out my fiscal recovery team was the former deputy treasurer of the state of Michigan under Governor Blanchard and the treasurer of the state of Michigan under Governor Granholm. He is now my chief operating officer. He could not make it here this evening, but allow me to acknowledge Jay Rising. These three dedicated public servants spent weeks and hundreds of hours poring through the financial data. They asked me innumerable questions about my priorities and, frankly, how courageous I plan to be. They drafted and redrafted and redrafted what became known as the Recovery Plan for Wayne County. I released it on April 29, 2015, and we immediately went to work implementing it. Tonight, I am pleased to report that as a result of the unprecedented cooperation and shared sacrifice, Wayne County finished its last fiscal year with a positive general fund balance. Let me say that again. For the first time in 8 years, the county finished the fiscal year in the black. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a remarkable accomplishment by anyone's measure. We will not need an emergency manager, and we will not go into bankruptcy. Thank you. We have eliminated the accumulated deficit. We have eliminated the yearly structural deficit. And we have dramatically reduced our health care liabilities. A recent report, an actuarial report from NIHART, established that our health care liabilities have been reduced from $1.3 billion to $471 million. As important, the study warned that if we had not taken the action, our health care liabilities would have risen to $1.8 billion by the end of 2015. We didn't achieve this financial recovery on our own. We had cooperation from many places, and we had an unprecedented level of cooperation between the executive branch and the Wayne County Commission. The Commission was an important partner in approving many of the essential parts of the recovery plan. The new spirit of cooperation between the county executive's office and the other elected county officials was extremely important. Proof of this new spirit was the Wayne County Sheriff and the Wayne County Prosecutor agreeing that the CEO recommended budget for their office for this year was fair. I'm sure nobody in this room can remember the last time that happened. I certainly can't. How'd we do it? We listened. My staff spent countless hours with the sheriff's staff going over every detail of his operation, analyzing the job of every deputy, and through consensus, not confrontation, agreed to changes. Cooperatively, we reduced the sheriff's operational budget by $2 million in this fiscal year without sacrificing service. And I'm pleased to report that having finished the first quarter of this fiscal year, the sheriff, for the first time in many, many years, is living within his budget. No other sheriff, including myself, was able to do that because of the lack of cooperation from the county executive's office. Thank you, Benny Napoleon. So was the Wayne County Prosecutor. We listened to her needs and gave her increases where they were most critically needed, and she listened to our problems and worked with us to help balance her budget. Thank you, Kim Worthy. We are near completion of a reorganization of the Register of Deeds office, headed by Bernie Youngblood. He is dedicated to having the best Register of Deeds office in this country. This reorganization provides the resources and flexibility to deliver operational excellence in the Register of Deeds office. And this reorganization results in a budget reduction of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you, Bernie Youngblood. We recently invited the county clerk and her staff to meet with me and my staff to start a similar process. She agreed, and the meetings have begun. I thank you, Kathy Garrett. I have also begun working cooperatively with our new Wayne County Treasurer, Richard Hathaway. We will work together to utilize the authority of the Wayne County Land Bank and other measures to keep people in their homes. We had even more help. The Wayne County Circuit Court, led by its Chief Judge Robert Colombo, and the Wayne County Probate Court, led by its Chief Judge Freddie Burton, cooperated and helped us reduce costs and increase efficiencies. Our Wayne County Prosecutor, Sheriff, Treasurer, Clerk, Commission, and Register of Deeds, together with our two Chief Judges, are helping us improve county services and meet our enormous financial challenges. It's amazing what we can achieve when dedicated people work in cooperation. We also had help from most of our retirees. Approximately 4,000 of the county's 5,000 retirees agreed to resolve a lawsuit over health care benefits. That recognized the county's financial circumstances. When I became county executive, this case had been pending for years, and millions of dollars of attorney's fees had been spent litigating. The union representatives of these retirees showed leadership and courage to recognize reality and work with the county to reach a solution. Additionally, 12 of our 13 labor unions agreed to new collective bargaining agreements that help reduce our legacy costs. Thank you for the cooperation. We also needed the cooperation of the state. The consent agreement, approved by the County Commission and executed with the state treasurer, was essential to implementation of important pieces of the recovery plan. Many warned that the consent agreement would fail. They were wrong. It worked. It worked, and I am proud to report that this year we will petition the state treasurer to release Wayne County from the consent agreement. And I believe this can occur early in this year. But the news is not all good. Yes, we've made significant progress, but we've got a long way to go. As I said, ending the county's fiscal crisis won't solve our facilities problems, but we have begun to make a great deal of progress in this area. We need to finish the partially built jail on Gratiot. There is no effective cost alternative. We recently completed a preliminary agreement with AECOM and Ghaffari that will hopefully settle a lawsuit and lead to the completion of the Gratiot Jail. It will cost hundreds of millions of dollars to finish that jail. The costs of restarting construction and the natural increase in prices will add millions to the cost to complete it. But the solid recovery of the county will likely allow us to borrow the money necessary to complete this essential project. There's a long way to go before this is a reality, but our plan is solid and provides the best opportunity for success. We recently completed an exhaustive study of the renovations needed for our existing jails and the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. We will need to find money to make the necessary repairs to the existing jails, at least until we can open the jail on Gratiot. And in conjunction with the new Gratiot jail, we must spend tens of millions of dollars to renovate the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. One of the reasons for a new jail on Gratiot was its proximity to the criminal division of the Wayne County Circuit Court. Therefore, renovating the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice is the most fiscally prudent course, and funds must be found for that purpose. We are presently preparing, with the assistance of the state of Michigan, to move the juvenile division of the Wayne County Circuit Court into the state-owned Cadillac Place. This move will greatly improve our juvenile court facilities and save the county money. We are also in the preliminary stages of reviewing plans to solve the facilities needs of the civil division of the Wayne County Circuit Court. And we continue to assess whether there is a more cost-effective location than the Guardian Building to house county offices. To succeed with these facility challenges, we must stay vigilant in our dedication to fiscal responsibility. Unless we can create additional revenue sources, the money to solve these facility problems must come from surpluses. These surpluses can only be achieved by continuing to manage county government efficiently. And that brings me to improving county services while saving money. We have no other choice in Wayne County. We must do both. Although we have a long way to go, we have already traveled a great distance. As I look around the room tonight at a number of people in my administration, I'm struck by the many who come in early, stay late, answer calls and emails at all hours of the night and on weekends. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when the people at the top lead by example. There is one person at the top who's been most responsible for the progress we've made in improving county services. She's an affable, smart, quietly determined individual who was the first African-American woman to lead Detroit Metropolitan and Willow Run airports as CEO. Rising from in-house counsel, she became a skilled administrator. She is a consensus builder who strives for excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize another key member of my executive team, Assistant County Executive Janelle Allen. Under Janelle's leadership, we consolidated and reorganized several departments. To streamline health and wellness operations, we consolidated 3 departments into a new Department of Health, Veterans, and Community Wellness. This consolidation responsibly cuts costs and improves service. Residents used to have to navigate a bureaucratic maze to obtain services. Case managers are now trained to conduct complete resident assessments. We call this new service delivery model No Wrong Door, and it is now our responsibility to see that the resident finds the county service they need, not vice versa. Nearly 11% of Wayne County's residents still don't have health care. That number represents 25% of the entire uninsured population in Michigan. Later this year, we plan to launch a new initiative to assist immigrants and other vulnerable populations in securing health care coverage. Half of the 112,000 residents in Westland, Wayne, Romulus, and Inkster are low income. Within these 4 cities, there is only 1 primary care doctor for every 4,100 residents. The barriers for this population to secure quality health care services are high. We will lower these barriers by making it easier for Wayne County residents to receive adequate health care. To assist with increased access to health care for residents, we recently opened the new full-service Wayne Health Center. Through a partnership with Beaumont Health, this new health center offers primary care services to families in western Wayne County. Physicians and healthcare professionals from the Family Medicine Program of Beaumont Health are working side by side with Wayne County's public health nurses. With us tonight, our partner in this endeavor, Dan Spatafor and Judith McNeely of Beaumont Health. Later this year, dental services will also be offered at Wayne Health Center through a partnership we established with the University of Detroit's Mercy School of Dentistry. With us tonight is the School of Dentistry's Dean, Dr. Merk Aksu. I thank you, Beaumont Health and the University of Detroit Mercy, for supporting our effort to increase health care for Wayne County residents. This reorganized department will also benefit at-risk young people. This year, we will launch a new job training program for young people who are released from the juvenile detention facility or otherwise considered at risk. I've spent the better part of my career watching youth detention facilities serve as the single largest gateway for youthful offenders into our costly county adult correctional system, and then even more costly state prison system. Our failure to identify and effectively treat these youth has harmed generations while nearly bankrupting state and local governments. We know it's more expensive to incarcerate a prisoner than provide a college education, yet we do little when it comes to providing the sort of youth services we know can be effective in leading youth to college, skilled trade schools, instead of prison. We should not lock away their potential to positively contribute to our communities. Thank you. I know we have criminals that we can't help, but many, perhaps most, can be helped and deserve a second chance. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Money spent to reduce recidivism is the ounce of prevention. Money for bricks and mortar is the more expensive pound of cure. Helping at-risk youth is a priority, and I found a wonderful partner with an excellent track record of transforming the lives of Wayne County's youth. She has championed the cause of young people. She is the president and CEO of Black Family Development. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize Alice Thompson. For 38 years, Black Family Development has committed itself to the idea that every young person should have the opportunity to flourish. Her organization has helped thousands of area youth discover their gifts, hone their skills, and become successful in worthwhile endeavors. Together with Black Family Development, Wayne County plans to launch a job training program. This program will provide career readiness and placement services. I'm optimistic the Wayne County Commission will agree with me and approve this engagement. In order to continue and expand our efforts in these vital areas of at-risk youth and wellness, we must remain vigilant in our efforts to streamline county government. Only by making county government more efficient can we find the money for these essential services. To accomplish this, we will be launching a number of significant projects. This year, we will completely transform Wayne County's antiquated purchasing system. It may not sound like it, but this is a big deal. We are installing a state-of-the-art e-procurement system. This system will create greater transparency in contracting, generate a long-term savings, and make it easier to do business with Wayne County. To accomplish this important improvement, I've lured an extremely talented individual to lead the transformation. His name is James Colangelo, and he came to us by way of JetBlue Airways. The Wayne County Commission has approved the contract, and we are on our way to having a Wayne County e-procurement system up and running before the end of this year. Thank you. We are partnering with the Michigan Association of Counties, or MAC, to help us in this procurement transformation. MAC has developed a substantial expertise in this area, and their assistance will be invaluable. With us tonight from MAC are two key people who will assist us with this project, Steve Curry and Sean Carlson. thank you for your partnership and expertise. And there will be an added benefit to this new procurement system. It will allow us to fairly ask Wayne County vendors to help alleviate our financial problems. They will be given an opportunity to share in the sacrifice. In the coming weeks, county vendors will receive a letter from Mr. Coangelo. It will propose a reduction in the costs of goods or services that they provide the county. We will ask that they join the Wayne County retirees, my appointees, and union employees who have sacrificed on this difficult road to recovery. By working with our vendors, we can reach a fair agreement that will further stabilize Wayne County's finances. It's now time to talk about roads and bridges. Wayne County has 739 miles of primary roads that run across 43 communities. When I took office, I learned that a lot of road and bridge maintenance issues remained unaddressed. Recognizing the limited resources, I directed my Assistant County Executive, June Lee, and the Roads and Engineering divisions to work collaboratively with our local communities to find solutions for the hardest-hit communities that needed road repairs. In a thriving business district of Hamtramck, there's a 1-mile stretch on Conant between Carpenter and Holbrook that had not been adequately repaired in 39 years. Working with the local community, we got it repaired. Working with Brownstown Township Supervisor Andy Linko, we provided temporary relief to motorists in this township by overlaying asphalt on 2 bad stretches of Sibley Road. And we will be back out there this year to finish the job. We worked with former Commissioner Richard LeBlanc, who now serves as Westland's city clerk, to prioritize the resurfacing of Cherry Hill Road. This resurfacing will begin in July. The county maintains a drawbridge on Jefferson Avenue. It is an important thoroughfare for the residents and businesses of 2 downriver communities, River Rouge and Ecorse. This bridge was inoperable for 2 years before I took office. Last fall, we started to fix it. The Jefferson Avenue drawbridge is on target to be opening and fully functioning in August of this year. Mayor Bowdler, my friend, as the sign says, we are fixing the damn bridge. This year, we will complete 16 capital improvement projects in 15 different communities. We will continue to work in partnerships with our cities and townships to fix our roads and bridges. Please allow me to change gears at this point and wet my whistle. We have taken concrete steps in Wayne County to eliminate the wasteful spending while remaining focused on delivering quality services. But we have had to go beyond merely instituting reasonable cost-cutting measures. We needed to make some painful cuts. Our employees and retirees were required to make huge sacrifices. Many local governments have been required to make similar painful cuts. These cuts are to the muscle, not just the fat, of local governments. This is evidence of a larger fundamental problem. Like Wayne County, our 43 cities and townships must manage their financial affairs under a broken system of local government financing. During the Great Recession that began in 2008, property values tumbled, reducing property taxes that are used primarily to finance local governments. Because of this drop in property values, Wayne County received $418 million less dollars in property tax receipts from 2008 to 2014. Likely all Michigan governments collectively received billions less in property tax receipts during this period. Local governments can't sustain that kind of loss without significantly affecting the quality of essential services they are required to deliver. So the heavy reliance on property taxes to fund local governments by itself is of major concern. In Michigan, however, our laws exacerbate the problem. When property values recovered, local governments, due to the restrictions contained in Proposition A and the Headley Amendment, were unable to recover the total lost taxes. Of the $418 million in lost tax receipts during this period, $240 million were the result of these tax limitations. Wayne County must operate within its means, and we will continue to demonstrate the necessary discipline to do that. But I have a corresponding obligation to identify structural threats to the fiscal integrity of not just Wayne County, but all local governments with whom we regularly work. Fixing this is necessary to ensure that Wayne County remains a place people want to call home. Our system of funding local governments threatens the financial stability of counties and local municipalities. Just look 70 miles to the north to see what kind of results this broken system of local funding produced. While we support alleviating the suffering of the people of Flint, we also must be mindful that the chronic disinvestment in local units of government throughout the state has made it difficult for many communities to find a range of basic services, to fund a range of basic services. We can and must do better. We can't continue to underfund local governments. For too long, resources needed for schools and communities have not found their way into these budgets that provide vital services. That is, until disaster strikes. We can't afford to just be reactive. We need to invest in townships, villages, cities, schools, and counties. Our residents expect a responsive public safety department. Our parents expect quality schools regardless of zip code. Our communities need a safe infrastructure. The first step in solving any problem is to acknowledge it. The number and variability of communities experiencing financial distress provides perhaps the best evidence of the seriousness of the problem. We need to start down the road to a solution. In the coming weeks, I will organize a summit of elected officials, community leaders, leading economists, business leaders, and others who can aid in devising a solution for this broken system of local government financing. Tonight, I've identified a few of the key members of my executive team. There are a couple others I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Because he lost a close congressional election in 2014, I got to benefit from his tireless effort and sharp acumen over the last 14 months. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize my Chief of Staff, Rudy Hobbs. I've also had the benefit of one of the best legal minds around, a tireless worker and an amazing manager. Keeping her on as my corporation counsel was one of my best decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize Zina El Hassan. Other members of my staff have been critical to our success, and I thank them all. But to all my staff, don't forget, be back in the office at 9 o'clock tomorrow. We've got a lot of work to do. Allow me to close with these observations. Government can work as it should, or government can be riddled with incompetence and even corruption. We've seen both kinds. I believe government can work. I believe government has an important role to play in leveling the field. I believe government has a role to play in caring for those who can't care for themselves. I believe government has a role to play in giving an opportunity to succeed to those who would not without the outstretched hands of government. I've dedicated my professional life to these beliefs. What people often don't understand is that these beliefs can go hand in hand with fiscal responsibility. If you're fiscally responsible, you free up more resources to meet more real needs. Some say use it for tax breaks for the rich. I say use it to help a deserving fellow citizen. Government should create programs for those deserving of assistance. Such programs benefit not only the individual, but our entire community. And just because governments get it wrong sometimes doesn't mean we shouldn't continue to try. To me, government is a calling, not a business. And I get a kick out of running an efficient government that is able to provide more for the citizens it serves. In fact, if you really think about it, the greatest long-lasting happiness any of us experience comes from doing for others, whether it's a family member, friend, stranger, or a worthy recipient of government services. We feel good when our actions benefit others. It takes confidence and honesty to make government work. And whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, if the leader of the government is confident and honest and cares about good government, chances are the citizens will be well served. Voters, it seems, however, tend to focus on a candidate's political views significantly more than their competence to manage. And that is often unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, one's political views can be important. It was important when I found $1 million for rape kits in a tight budget. It was important when I had a chance to use my bully pulpit to try to help keep the air and water in Wayne County cleaner. But frankly, more important is the question of whether an elected official who will be charged with running a government is competent, honest, and cares about good government. Some disagreed with steps we've taken to solve our county's problems, but no one, I believe, can question our motives or integrity. And no one can question that we've done it with a diverse team of men, women, Caucasians, African Americans, Middle Eastern, and Asians. And this team was more effective than the sum of its parts because of that diversity. And I don't think anyone could fairly question the competence of this amazingly diverse team. In the county executive offices found on the 31st floor of the Guardian Building, the pursuit of honest, fiscally responsible, good government really is our mantra. And that has not always been the case in Wayne County. So it's been an eventful year for me, my staff, and Wayne County government. I hope you agree we've made things better, but we've got a lot left to do, and we intend to do it. Thank you all for coming, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you.